Support for this podcast comes from the St. Alphonsus Neuroscience Institute, offering technology to provide treatment for neurological, neurosurgical, and neurointerventional conditions. This includes a dedicated neurotrauma ICU for critical care of the brain or spine and a 24/7 stroke team. More at stalphonsus.org.
How's everybody doing? You guys all right?
Boise State Public Radio and Duck Club Entertainment present the Charlie Hunter Trio.
Charlie Hunter, ladies and gentlemen.
Wednesday, March 18th at the Shrine Social Club in Boise. Blending jazz, funk, blues, and rock. Hunter is a guitarist, producer, and bandleader who will present his unique finger-picking technique on custom hybrid guitars. Tickets are available now at theduckclub.com.
From Boise State Public Radio, it's The Connector, Idaho Daily News. Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Troy Oppie in for George Prentice. This morning, charges filed in a fatal traffic accident from nearly a year ago at the entrance to Ann Morrison Park. A decades-long effort to negotiate a water rights settlement in North Idaho has come to a close, and why cities in Idaho might not be able to change their official flag designs going forward. But it is a very busy day on a Friday. Today's top story, Hewlett Packard says it will say so long to Boise by the end of 2027. Local employees of the company received notice Thursday that HP plans to consolidate its Northwest region operations into existing facilities in Western Oregon. The company had sold its site in Idaho 9 years ago to the state and has since leased back some of that space for operations, which is mostly focused on laser jet technology. The announcement of HP's departure from Boise was first reported by Boise Dev. An HP employee granted anonymity because they weren't authorized to speak publicly told Boise State Public Radio there are about 1,100 workers still based here, and they've been told they can expect to be notified of their options by May 1st. Corporate leadership is expected to visit the Boise campus next week. The employee says HP recently notified its entire domestic workforce of early retirement opportunities for workers 55 or older with 10 or more years of service. The notification made to Boise workers 18 months ahead of next year's closure was made to allow employees to consider those early retirement options if they're eligible as part of any potential transition. HP in a statement confirmed it was pulling out of Boise as it reorganizes its global real estate holdings. The company, though, did not provide additional details or answer specific questions, only saying they valued the longtime presence in Boise and are, quote, deeply committed to treating our employees with respect and care. To the State House now. Idaho cities and counties that fly unapproved flags could face pricey fines under a bill that cleared the Idaho House yesterday. Here's James Dawson with more.
Legislators passed their first anti-flag law last year, but overlooked including a way to enforce it. Boise Mayor Lauren McLean has continued flying an LGBTQ pride flag at City Hall, with city council members adopting it as an official flag last May.
That's lawless, insubordinate, and intolerable.
That's Republican Representative Ted Hill, who sponsored both flag bills. His latest version would charge cities like Boise $2,000 for each day they violate the law. Hill says public officials shouldn't be supporting what he considers to be divisive symbols like the pride flag. House Democratic leader Alana Rubel says supporters are specifically targeting Boise with the bill, but applying it to all municipalities to avoid violating the Constitution.
The Constitution is not an administrative hurdle that we should be trying to pull shenanigans to try to get around. It's there for a reason, and I think we got to call a spade a spade. That's what this is.
The measure passed largely along party lines and now goes to the Senate. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Fans of the 1987 film The Princess Bride likely would have recognized many phrases making appearances on the Idaho Senate floor yesterday. Republican Senator Tammy Nichols' bill about rats would direct state agricultural officials to partner with local governments and come up with a rat abatement plan.
Because when it comes to rodents of unusual size, waiting until they are everywhere would truly be inconceivable.
Yes, we see what you did there. The pests have been a growing concern in the Treasure Valley the past few years and are beginning to be seen in Boise. Nichols says Idaho needs to take action quickly to eradicate the rodents, which can carry disease and damage crops. Senators quickly passed the bill, which now needs approval from the State House. A bill that would pull public funding from Idaho's Commission on Hispanic Affairs was introduced in the House Revenue and Taxation Committee yesterday. It's a second attempt to kneecap the commission after a bill that would have eliminated it altogether failed to advance in a different committee earlier this session. The group receives less than $300,000 a year from the state general fund. It was targeted by the off-session Department of Government Efficiency Committee, or Idaho DOGE, this past summer. The new bill would eliminate funding but allow the group to continue by fundraising on its own. The bill also eliminates a state tax break for citizens who want to donate to the commission, a move which irked Democrat Representative Steve Birch.
It seems very deliberate and unnecessary. I don't think this can be justified from a financial point of view, and quite frankly, I don't think it can be justified from a moral point of view as well.
Some Republicans seemed skeptical of the bill, but said voting to introduce it was important to allow the discussion on the bill's merits. Representative Gerald Raymond.
I think we need to understand their mission. I think we need to determine whether or not their mission's being fulfilled before we determine whether or not we're going to cut funding.
That bill was introduced on a party line vote. It could receive a hearing at a later date. A years-long effort to negotiate a water rights settlement between the state of Idaho and the Coeur D'Alene Tribe ended yesterday with the signing of a new deal. Negotiations dated back to 2008 and included other stakeholders, including the city of Coeur d'Alene, Benewah County, Potlatch and its timber subsidiaries, and local property owners and property owners associations. Governor Brad Little and State Attorney General Raul Labrador characterized the settlement as a win for local communities that rely on water connected to Lake Coeur d'Alene, and tribal leaders who said the agreement protects their homelands. The settlement ends years of litigation over tribal water rights in North Idaho, which courts had previously affirmed, but without ruling on specific details. The Middleton City Council this week unanimously appointed Tim O'Meara as that city's next mayor. O'Meara was City Council president in his second term. He will now complete the mayoral term through 2027 of Jackie Hutchison, who died last week at the age of 74. O'Meara presided over a special council meeting Tuesday this week, noting that several people had expressed interest in the appointment, including former Middleton mayors Steve Rule and Vicky Thurber. But O'Meara wanted the job as well and ended up as the only nomination. His appointment left a vacancy on Middleton City Council. Council members considered several interested community members who showed up at the meeting, noting that the current council is made up of all men. Here's City Councilor Mark Christensen.
Maybe it's unpopular, but it is that we need, different perspectives from males and females make a difference. I don't want to be impolite or to anyone, but I believe that that's something that might benefit us to have that perspective on the council.
2 of 8 people who expressed interest were women, including a former candidate for council, Heidel Summers. But the council ultimately approved the appointment of Kelly Greiner, who's the current sports program director for Middleton's Park and Recreation District. She was sworn in on Wednesday, and Middleton's council named Ray Waltemate its new council president. Nearly a year after a fatal car crash at the entrance to Boise's Ann Morrison Park, the driver of the truck police say caused the crash has been arrested and charged with vehicular manslaughter. Boise police say its investigation found that a pickup driven by 54-year-old Jeffrey Cope was traveling at a high rate of speed northbound on Americana Boulevard when he crashed into a passenger car turning into the park entrance. The driver and a dog in the passenger car died. Charges were filed on Tuesday. Cope was arrested Thursday and remains in custody on $10,000 bond. Alcohol is thought to have been a factor in a fatal crash early Thursday on Highway 93 just north of Hollister. A pickup truck state police say was driving southbound in the northbound lane hit a southbound SUV head-on. Both drivers were taken to a local hospital where the driver of the SUV later died. Police say neither driver was wearing a seatbelt. The investigation remains ongoing. And finally, this morning, a couple of sports notes for you. The College of Idaho women's basketball team is back in the NAIA National Championship Tournament for the second straight year. The Yotes, an at-large 7th seed. They'll travel to Fort Wayne, Indiana next week. Their first-round opponent is 10-seed Briarcliff University of Iowa. With a win on Saturday, it advanced to the second round to face either the number 2 seed University of St. Francis or Kentucky's Brescia University, which is a 15th seed. Boise State men's basketball, meanwhile, is wrapping up its regular season on the road tomorrow, a 2 p.m. Saturday tip-off at Colorado State. The Broncos and Rams are part of a 4-way tie for 5th place in the Mountain West right now. But the Broncos can only finish as high as 5th, even if they win on Saturday. They are likely to be seeded lower than that in the upcoming conference tournament because of tie-breaking scenarios and getting swept in 2 games this season by UNLV. Like I said, it's a busy Friday. If you want to stay in touch with more of the news that's happening between now and the next episode of The Connector on Monday morning, you can catch our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. Be sure to download and use our free app for your smartphone as well. And thanks for listening to The Connector Idaho Daily News. It's a production of Boise State Public Radio. I'm Troy Oppie. I'll be back with you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.